Swan Lake, a fairy tale of enchantment and eternal love. A story retold for the ears and the heart. Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom of old, there lived a young prince named Siegfried. He was noble, handsome, and just on the cusp of manhood. For today was his 21st birthday. In the palace courtyard, the air was filled with music and laughter. The royal families danced, the townsfolk cheered, and all the young maidens shyly tried to catch the prince's eye. Amidst the celebration, his mother, the queen, approached him. She carried a gift wrapped in royal silk, a crossbow carved from dark wood and silver. It was a symbol of tradition, a symbol of duty. She looked into her son's eyes and said, "You are of age now, my son. Soon your bride shall be chosen." But these words did not fill Siegfried with joy. They weighed on him like a crown made of stone. So, without a word, he took the crossbow and with a few trusted companions fled to the forest, into the arms of the wild, where no rules dared follow. As twilight fell, the trees gave way to a hidden glade, and there, in the quiet heart of the forest, Siegfried came upon a lake like no other. Its waters shimmered like moonlight, and gliding silently across its surface were swans, dozens of them, white as snow and graceful beyond belief. One swan stood apart. She wore a crown of silver feathers upon her head. She moved differently, as though she carried a secret. Siegfried was captivated. His friends arrived, laughing, but he waved them away. He wanted to be alone. As the last golden light faded from the sky, the crowned swan began to change. Wings turned to arms, feathers faded into skin, and there, before him, stood a maiden, more beautiful than any he had ever seen. Her name was Odette. Odette's voice was soft but filled with sorrow. She told the prince of a terrible curse. She and many other girls had been transformed into swans by an evil sorcerer named von Rothbart, a dark magician who now walked the palace halls, disguised as a trusted mentor. The lake itself, she whispered, was born from the tears of their mothers, weeping for the daughters they had lost. Only one thing could break the curse, a promise of true love, freely given by a man pure of heart. Siegfried reached for her hand, ready to pledge himself. But before he could speak the words, a shadow tore across the lake. Von Rothbart appeared, cloaked in black magic. He pulled Odette from Siegfried's arms and summoned the swan maidens to dance, not with joy, but to distract and delay. By the time their dance ended, Siegfried stood alone, gazing into the darkened lake, his heart aching with sorrow and longing. The very next day, back in the royal halls, a grand celebration was held. Princesses from distant lands arrived, dressed in finery, each hoping to become queen. But Prince Siegfried could not forget the girl by the lake. None of the noble ladies could compare to her grace, her sorrow, her eyes. Still, his mother insisted, "You must choose." So, the prince danced, though his heart was far, far away. Then, the sound of trumpets. Von Rothbart arrived, smiling falsely, and by his side stood a young woman, a mirror of Odette. Or so it seemed. The prince's heart leapt. He believed she had returned. He danced with her, enchanted by her every movement. And under the illusion, he made a vow. He declared his love and asked for her hand in marriage. But high above, from a distant window, the real Odette watched, heartbroken. She turned and fled into the night. The spell began to crack. Siegfried saw her in the distance, the real Odette. Realization struck him like a storm. Von Rothbart laughed. The trick was done. The girl he had danced with was not Odette, but his own daughter, Odile, a creature made of lies, and magic. With no time to lose, the prince rushed from the hall, chasing after the only heart he had ever truly known. The moon hung heavy above the lake. Odette stood by the water, tears falling like silver drops into the waves. The swan maidens gathered around her, silent and solemn. Then the prince appeared. He fell to his knees before Odette, begging her to forgive his mistake. And she did, with a single, sorrowful smile. But darkness returned. Von Rothbart rose from the shadows, his daughter beside him, both twisted now, more bird than human, more shadow than soul. He demanded the prince keep his vow. "Marry Odile," he hissed, "or suffer the price." But Siegfried stood tall and firm. He turned to Odette, took her hand and whispered, "I would rather die with you than live without you." And with that, they leapt into the lake. Together. A hush fell over the world. Then, a light broke across the sky. The curse shattered, feathers fell away. The swan maidens were human again. With new strength, they rose up and turned against their captors. Von Rothbart and Odile were pulled into the lake's depths, never to rise again. And as the dawn broke across Swan Lake, the spirits of Prince Siegfried and Odette ascended into the heavens, together at last, free from curse and sorrow. Their love, though born in darkness, had become eternal light. And so ends the tale of Swan Lake, a story of love and loss, of enchantment and sacrifice, and of two hearts that found each other across magic, deception, and fate. They say that even now, when the moon is full and the wind is still, you can see a pair of white swans gliding across the water, forever together, forever free. Thank you for listening to this fairy tale retelling of Swan Lake. If it touched your heart, leave a like and let your dreams take wing.